would notice that there's a slight change, actually quite a big change. Our keynote speaker who was supposed to come and deliver the second keynote today is really sick. And she was hoping to get better. Chun Chao, if you know her, she was hoping to get better, but she got worse and worse. And so it's very unfortunate that she cannot be here. Gave us some heart attack also. Like, how do we find a last minute backup person to give a keynote? Yeah, so now Shen Yong has really graciously stepped up to this. So if you could allow me to now introduce Shen Yong to you. We are really happy that you can do this. Thank you very much. So let me introduce you Dr. Ho Shen Yong. He is the Executive Director of the Institute for Pedagogical Innovation, Research and Excellence, we call INSPIRE, at NTU. He has been integral to leading faculty preparations for the impact of AI on teaching and learning. Passionate about education, he developed activities to enhance students' thinking skills and bridge theories with real-world applications in his freshman engineering physics lessons. In 2014, he helped launch the Making and Tinkering course, where students can design and build any prototypes. Today, there are more than 150 projects. Dr. Ho has received many teaching awards, including the prestigious Nanyang Education Award Gold in 2018. Let's put our hands together and welcome him warmly to the stage.
So while Chun Chao is not here with us to give the talk, I'm trying to align my talk as much as possible with, I think, what she would want to do, and that is to talk about experiential learning. So my talk is very much about experiential learning, sort of related to Chun Chao's deep courses. And actually, originally, I just thought, no, I'll just talk about making and tinkering. Okay, but I think making and tinkering is special, and it was sort of successful because we have the backing of the school and the chair, and they were putting in quite a lot of money. But not everyone will be so fortunate like myself to be able to start a course that has so much financial backing. So I thought that maybe I should also talk about large lectures, because that's much cheaper, okay, to run, and you can also probably use some of the ideas and the principles to use for your own lessons. Okay, so I'm just guessing, if Chun Chao were here, she'll probably be talking about the deep. Okay, I think I read the abstract, and I'll just play like a teaser for the deep program, and you can find out more if you want to explore.
I'm just trying to picture it in my mind.
All our ideas were terrible.
They kept adding soya sauce into everything.
If there's a problem, fix it with soya sauce.
Why you would do that? I took out my food, man.
Okay, I know what I'm doing, but actually I don't.
Stop. Okay, because you are still gambling. Wait, it's gonna overflow! I kind of swore to myself I would never do a science course, but here I am, We will spend around 6 to 7 hours in the kitchen.
Are they going to survive or not? That's the question.
I don't know.
That's right.
If you were to do that again, what would you do differently?
Okay, one more time.
Welcome to the final stage of your life.
Wait. Relax.
I certainly thought the most radical way is.
He prayed for kimchi and it came. Like it dropped from the sky.
heavens.
Wow!
We can set our own story. I love this one. I love this one.
Yeah, I see the prototype of a funky business.
I'm lucky I'm alive here. Yeah.
Hope that makes you hungry. Okay. So it's a very interesting course, and it's related to the science of cooking, right? So I'm not sure when AI would be taking over this domain, but for the time being, we'll just enjoy. But before I start on my part, okay, maybe I will just do a little interview of the audience to see what are your background in making and tinkering. Okay, so if you could scan the QR code, okay, I'm going to pose a question. Okay, let's see if everyone's done with scanning. Okay. Okay. Oh, sorry, wrong one. Okay, let me just. Okay. Do you know how to change a light bulb? Okay, I will just hide your post. Okay, if you still need the QR code, you can get it here. Okay, wow, okay, I've got 60 votes. Oh, yes, okay, that's interesting. Oh, yeah, better than my student, okay, because when I asked them this question, okay, maybe you're different generation, but okay, not sure. Okay, maybe not this one, right? You can change this light bulb. So when I asked the students this question, it seems that a lot of them do not know how to change a light bulb, right? Okay, let's try another one. Okay, 3D printing sounds like a very sophisticated technology, but usually it just takes less than 2 hours to learn how to use it, okay? So if your answer is no, you're probably in the majority, okay? And you're just like my students, because when they started the Making and Tinkering course, most of them have not changed a light bulb, has not done 3D printing, and they have not even used a screwdriver, some of them. Right? So this was actually, well, we felt that it was like a crisis. Okay, so this was back in 2013. Okay, I also asked questions like whether you can fix the pipe, whether you can cook an egg, etc. Okay, and the answers to a lot of those questions were no. Okay, so we decided, no, let's start a course. Okay, we didn't have much of a strategy because we had never done this before. So anyone from SUTD? I think it's now the provost, right, of SUTD, right? Okay, so we decided to, now let's just start something, okay? We will figure out along the way how to go about doing this course, okay? And we started this Making and Tinkering course, and we have a very strong support from the school. And okay, so we're still very much the Facebook generation, okay? So we posted a lot of our works, okay, on Facebook, okay? So we go as far back as 2014. So if I could just scroll back, okay, you could see a lot of these student projects. Okay, maybe I should just, okay, stop and talk about some of them. Okay, so this violin that you see here is actually a 3D printed violin, right? And we're trying to change the design to see how the sound changes. Okay, okay, sorry, I have it okay, I have it in the next one. Okay, so the rules for this course is you can prototype anything as long as it is not illegal or not too dangerous. It can be dangerous. We'll just do the risk assessments. We just do the safety, now we have a lot of interesting student projects. So in the first year, they really try to push it to the limit. When I say, as long as it's not illegal. So there is a group, they want to build an electromagnetic coil gun, right? So it's a gun that fires nails. Okay, so I was thinking, I get arrested by the police, right? So we did a lot of safety, a lot of checks, and they sort of did it actually. So what it does is it has a magnet. You attract a nail. The first magnet will turn off. It's electromagnet, and then the second one will turn on. Okay, you accelerate, turn off, and turn on again, and you'll go through. Right. So here, the students were trying to optimize the switching and switching off. And this is how it happened. So you can see that now the nail went through the Coke bottle. Okay, and we have we have a high-speed camera. Okay, and they did the slow-mo for this, right? So this was one of the first project that was done in 2014. In fact, we were very impressed with the students. We gave them the best prize, actually. But actually, initially, they wanted to put this on a drone. I said, no, you can't put this on a drone. Okay. So, so the students had a chance. Oh, okay. So the next one is interesting because it's mosquito trap. Okay, related to what we have heard a lot from yesterday. Yeah. Okay, so this group of students claimed that they have found a chemical. They read some papers that will attract mosquitoes, right? And so we agreed, okay, we'll go and buy this expensive compound, okay? And they build something. They have the fan in the reverse direction, so it sucks through. Okay, so they bought a commercial one. The one that looks nice is the commercial one. The one that looks not so nice is theirs. Okay, so they did some testing. They went to the jungle in NTU and they left it there, and we see how good it was. So it caught everything except mosquitoes, actually. Okay, yeah. So it's fun and interesting, and students learn along the way. So they also students. Okay, so these other group of students also, they have no idea about 3D printing. Okay, at the beginning. So at the end of the 3 months, he designed a kinetic art, right? That is almost 100% 3D printed. Okay, so that was in 2014. Okay, so I'll just fast forward to the end, and you can see the final product. Okay, so it's a student from the Art Design Media School. Okay, working together with a physics student, right? So there are a lot of fascinating projects, and we will say that we will do things as dangerous. No, not too dangerous. Okay, so one of these things that we did was this group of students. They wanted to launch a stratospheric balloon. Okay, so if you take a plane, say to Singapore, your plane will be cruising at a height of 20 kilometers. So the stratosphere is 10 kilometers higher. Okay, so they wanted to launch a balloon that would go up to the stratosphere. Okay, then we can't think of a good reason why we want to launch such a balloon. Okay, so we pretend that we're doing some scientific measurements. Okay, we'll put some instruments in there that will take photographs up there and so on. And okay, so this is how it looked. They wanted to launch this in Singapore, but the aviation authorities didn't allow us to do it for obvious reasons. So they convinced me that the ticket to Perth was cheap. It's less than $100, and we sent them to Australia. They worked with the Australian authorities, and they gave them a window and a place to launch balloons, and they did. So where did you get money? Each group has a budget of $2,000. So the leftover money from other groups, I used it to send this group to Australia with the chair's permission. So they flew to Perth. They drove 200 kilometers to a little town called Caddo. And here, now they launched this. Okay, so you see that this balloon has a payload, a parachute, and of course the latex helium. So they launched 3 balloons.
Okay, yeah.
And then here you can see the onboard camera. Okay, catching the view. And very interestingly, there was an Australian elementary school. The whole school went on outing to watch them do this. The whole school was like 40 people, right? And it's P1 to P6. Okay, and this, my ass, this was done 10 years ago. And they were driving to track the balloon, but when you go above a certain height, there's a signal. Okay, but the balloon will burst and it will come down again, the signal will reappear, and they'll continue chasing. So this is the view from up there. Okay, 30 kilometers. Okay, they have hours of footage, but your next safety is important. It's good to have a sort of stabilizer. So that's the highest we've gone for this course. So it came down and they have to pre-test it and make sure it doesn't come down more than 5 meters per second. Okay, and it landed in someone's farm. So they collected 2 out of 3 payloads. The third one landed in the marsh area. So they made friends with a farmer, bought him a crate of beer. And he retrieved it from the marsh when it was safe, and the third one came back to NTU 1 month later. Okay. Oops. Okay, so we have all sorts of funny projects, and some mostly without a purpose. Maybe I need to go to Kim for coaching to find a purpose in some of our projects, right? And it continued to be one of our struggles, but then I was contemplating, do we always need a purpose? Maybe some should have purpose, maybe some should be without a purpose. Okay, but I'll come back a little to that. Okay, so this is the lab, the Making and Tinkering lab. If you're interested, I'll be happy to bring you there to take a look. It's in SPMS. Okay, so this a short history of this course, okay, as mentioned, it started in 2014, and it's open to all NTU students, okay, and it's a pass-fail course. Okay, so there are little reasons why I mentioned all these subtle things. It may seem quite trivial, but later you understand why I mentioned it's pass-fail. Okay, so the balloon that you saw, it was pass-fail, but they went all out to do it. Okay, even the electromagnetic coil gun, okay, and of course the mosquito trap, all these were pre-graded. Okay, they were not given a grade. Okay, but so you get different types of student behavior. Okay, we decided that no, we should not have a GPA requirement. So regardless of your results, you'll be allowed to join the course. They have a budget, and they will have an exhibition and competition at the end. And there are certain rules on the grouping. We want diversity, but we are paying, so we need at least 1 SPMS student and 1 Singaporean in the group. Okay, and then we have collected like more than 10 years of projects. From 2018 onwards, when we started grading, we required them also to do a blog to journey, the process of them doing the project. Here we also have a collection of past projects. So one of the requirements is all students will need to make a 1 to 2 minute video, and then they will actually show about their project. Some very fun, some very serious. Okay, so this was the balloon project that we saw, and the primary school kids who went for an outing. Okay, so there was also another project. This is a 3D printed telescope. So again, this is before it was still pass-fail. Okay, so typically now we'll start doing some planning in March, April, and early May. You'll learn about 3D printing and how to use a screwdriver, etc. Then we have fortnightly presentation, and they're supposed to finish everything within like a 3-month period. Okay, so it's actually quite a big leap of faith on the part of the students, right? Because if you don't even know how to use a screwdriver, you're supposed to build something at the end of 3 months. It's quite a journey, quite rough for some of them. Okay, but it sort of worked well. And early August, they will have the exhibition. Okay, then we have a Shen Yong Scholars Program. This Shen Yong is a Nobel Prize winner in physics, is named after him. And this program actually wants to train students who are very passionate about science and engineering and technology. Okay, but they don't like hands-on. Actually, you see that a lot of them. Okay, they're theories. Okay, but the director of the Shen Yong program felt that now it's important for the Shen Yong scholars to actually get their hands dirty, because you cannot be a scientist without getting your hands dirty, right? They don't grow up like Paul, where they have a garage where they can tinker, right? So this is sort of a makeup for that lost childhood experience. Okay, so it was offered optional, but only the engineering students joined. The science didn't really join. Okay, maybe the physics still joined, but the biological sciences and the environmental science students are not that keen. Okay, then it became compulsory. Okay, sorry, it's 2018. It became compulsory. Okay, and it became graded. So we did grading for all the students. And you see that the quality of the projects went up. Okay, because it's graded. But they get exhausted at the end. Okay, they don't really like technology at the end. So we thought, did we make a mistake? Okay, because it's graded. And they were actually very competitive. Okay, later I'll tell you a bit more. So I learned about human behavior. Okay, when I was mentoring this group of students. Okay, and then there was COVID. Okay, so we had to grapple with COVID. We extended the course. Okay, instead of ending in August, it ended in November. Okay, so Tony Gunn is actually one of the most important person in the MNT lab. He's actually our lab manager. So he's the one who teaches the students all how to solder, how to use a screwdriver, the different types of screws, and so on, and how to think in a systematic way. Okay, so he joined in 2015, but unfortunately he passed away last year. Okay, so we're trying to live our life without Tony actually, but we found another lab manager. So when it became graded, okay, so this was actually one of the projects. This is one of the best projects. It was done by a group of 4 girls actually, and they have interesting background. Okay, I would just, okay. Okay, this is one of the tabs. Okay, I think, okay. I'll probably, okay. So, no, they did this very impressive drawing, and their project was even more impressive, okay? So they modified a 3D printer and make it do embroidery, right? And these students, there's only one engineer, but this engineer is not a mechanical or electrical engineer. It's a chemical and biological technology engineer, right? And they did this amazing work. So I thought, wow, this is actually a journey of self-discovery for the students actually. So they both worked very hard, and it was very impressive. Okay, so there was another project that was very interesting. So here, if you see, there is a string instrument here. It's called the lyre. Okay, so now it has many motors. They will plug all the strings of the lyre. So you can actually program a MIDI and you convert it, and then you play the music. And it's actually quite nice. Okay, so we have, okay, let's see whether I can. Okay, I think I'm gonna stop here. If I can, okay, so this is 2 students. They did the Arduino air drums. So you just need 2 sticks. You can imagine that you're playing a drum set, and then you hear it in your headphones. So we thought it's a good idea now. So do you want to commercialize it? They say, okay, we'll fill in the proposal in half a year's time. And they never did it. And 1 year later, we saw this product in Korea. Okay, but I think it's independent, all right? But our students, they are quite professional. They're students, they focus on their studies, and they don't think much about other things, unfortunately. Yeah. So, okay, I think I will, okay, I think I probably can't find that project easily. Okay, let me just try for 10 more seconds. Okay, no. Okay, so this is a domino laying vehicle. Okay, so here it is. Okay, let's listen to how this plays out.
Oh, right.
So I'm not sure whether you recognize the tune. Okay.
It's crisp.
Okay. So this was during the exhibition. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So anyway, that is just to show you the variety of things that the students did. So actually we have two groups of students. Okay, we have the Shen Yong scholars, and we have the non-Shen Yong scholars. So for the Shen Yong scholars, it's compulsory and it's a call, and it's compulsory graded. Okay, for the non-Shen Yong scholars, they're doing it as an elective. It's graded, but they have options to convert it to pass-fail. And you see that of course, among the Shen Yong students, you have the very, very motivated students. You just want to learn. Okay, they don't really care about the grades. They just want to just soak in this whole thing. Okay, but you also have unwilling students who are sort of forced to learn all these things. So no, they become a bit more passive and they feel stressed and they just want to get it done and over with. Okay, for the non-Shen Yong scholars, okay, because there is a pass-fail options, so we also attracted a certain type of students, okay, to this. Okay, they just do the minimal to pass the course. So we see different behavioral change from the students. So the course aims to create this environment for the students, okay, to allow them to apply their knowledge, solve open-ended questions, to freely explore, take risks, and to create something at the end of the course, and also they are required to do a presentation. So we did rather extensive design of the rubrics. We were thinking, yeah, okay, the students were apprehensive at the beginning, but I think in the end it was too complicated. They sort of ignored it. Yeah. Okay. So actually, some has been modified. For example, this one is the project operating as intended, because we noticed that some of these students' projects, they have multiple parts. So they will work by themselves, but if you put them together, you'll fail, right? So we didn't want to give too much stress to students, so we just give 5 points for this particular part. Okay, we noticed that this is a common problem. Okay, so actually, yesterday we were talking about play. Okay, so actually this is the cover page for my briefing notes actually. So this is actually the spirit that I would like to actually bring to this course. But I do notice that sometimes the students are highly competitive. I mean, you have different groups working in the same space. I thought they're fine, but actually they're looking at each other and they're competing. Okay, it's mainly the scholars, I think. Okay. So it becomes a highly competitive sport. I mean, so I was thinking, yeah, actually, it sort of spoils it. Okay, when I was a kid, when I played soccer with my friends, I say, let's not keep score. And I got scolded by my friends, okay? Because I feel that keeping score takes away the fun, right? And also, we are also always struggling to find a reason, right? Are you solving someone's problem when you build this prototype and so on and so forth? So actually we thought we should, because we're using quite a bit of money. So if we just let students do self-directed learning, it will be more fruitful if we can solve some problems. So we asked them to go to the old folks' homes, go to various places to find problems to solve, but it doesn't seem to work out too well. Okay, so I was preparing for this talk, and Vinay was very kind. He actually found a code from Ricky. So I felt consoled when I saw this code. Okay. So the purpose of play is play, right? This means that, okay, I hope I interpreted it correctly. So we need not be too bothered if you can't find a reason. And so I'll embrace it for the moment. Okay. And then maybe I'll get some coaching from Paul. Okay. But I would probably not make it mandatory that it must have a purpose. We have groups actually build like an indoor rainbow. Okay, so there isn't a distinct purpose for that. So some lessons learned. Okay, so I usually will try to attract students to join it by showing, wow, look at all these projects that the students did. It didn't seem to work well actually, because the students become stressed. They say, I can't do that, so I'm not going to join this course. Right? So I should show the average project, not the best project. Okay, so that's something that I've learned. Okay, and they started trying to outdo the best projects you give them. Human competitiveness. Okay, so you have all these students working in groups, but they're actually looking at each other's work and they're competing. Okay, but some are not. Some doesn't care. Some will just look at their own goal. Okay, so some groups I know, they form, the course starts in May, they started forming group in August. Actually, they want to grab the best people to be in their group. Right, so this is a very kiasu Singaporean type of mentality. Okay, and there's actually, reality is actually full of surprises, sometimes pleasant, sometimes unpleasant. Okay, because sometimes you think that something is very simple, it's really, really hard. Okay, we want to build a robotic arm to flip pages, actually. So we thought, it's very easy, just flip pages. But even Tony found it extremely difficult, right? Then there was another instance whereby I told him, okay, can you just modify the 3D printer, okay, take away the head, and put a pen on it and draw pictures? And he said, no, it's very difficult. It can't be done, blah, blah, blah. No, you need to exert the right pressure. Then later, a few weeks later, he found a solution. He just transferred the spring from below to up, and it works. Okay, so the solution was so simple and elegant, right? So sometimes reality, they are full of surprises. Okay, so one of the boy that is very motivated in this course, his name was Kanesh, actually. He has cancer. Actually, he knows he's dying. And you see that the way he lived his life is quite different from the other students, right? So I'm just thinking, actually, no, we should actually promote the attitude that students should live, okay, not in a very pessimistic manner, but to live as if it's their last day, right? They should embrace their life and live it to the fullest every day. Okay, so I mentioned about grading and non-grading, pass-fail. It affects the quality. The quality goes up, but you get a different type of motivation. So we need to see what we want. And it's also very important to communicate to students about the pedagogical intents, right? So students will complain if they do not know why you're doing certain things. So I thought it's a good investment of time to actually, communicate to the students. We tell them that, no, you choose a project, and the project will define your journey. Okay, and actually work with them. Okay, so this is the risk of killing fun. Do we always need a purpose for the things we do? Maybe some yes, maybe some no. Okay, so this is just doing the simple modification of the 3D printer to do a writing. So it was done quite easily, with that simple solution. So the question is, can the fund be scaled up? Okay, but probably the price will have to come down per student. So if you have a class of students, okay, in a crowded LT, so this is in a freshman engineering physics course. Okay, so is there a way, for example, even in this LT, to have hands-on activities to learn? So I was cracking my head. Actually, I gave a talk on this. So I sort of found one example. I think the star of the photo is here. Okay. So it's an exam question that I found. Okay, so this is to teach the topic of free fall and acceleration. Right. And this is an exam question. The person is supposed to catch a note, and from there you can actually determine the reaction time. And do I have any volunteers? Okay, maybe I'll get Ihan. Okay, Ihan, so if you can catch it, it's yours. Okay, okay. Just to illustrate. Okay, are you ready? No. Okay, so we have to start from the base for it to be fair. Release. Let's try again. I need 100. Closer. It's yours. Okay, it's okay. Thanks. So for the students in the class, actually, we gave in this workshop. I have not tried this in the big class yet, but I thought maybe I'll try it in the talk. And it seems to work quite well. Everyone was enthusiastic. Right? So if everyone just use a ruler, okay, and it's released, and you grab it, and then you can read off the marking, and you can work backwards to actually work out your own reaction time. And that would be a very good thing, starter activity, right? So that's something that I'm looking for. But I'll try it in my big class, and if you come to good to great next year, I'll tell you the result. Okay? So in essence, if something is free falling, okay, from rest, from zero speed, it increases linearly. So the area under this would be how much you catch. And from there, you can work out the reaction time. Okay, so we can start talking about the equations. Okay, we also have other class activities. Okay, so this one, I can't do it in a big lecture theater, but we've been doing it in a classroom, a collaborative classroom. Okay, so the idea is this. You release a marble on a ramp and let it flies off the edge. Okay, you give students a measuring tape, and they're supposed to calculate where this marble will land. And they'll do the calculation, and then they'll put a coin where they think the marble will land. And if the answer is correct, you'll hear that ding sound, right? So that's an instant feedback for your answer. Okay, so this worked quite well, but we found that we need to give the students the marble at the end after they've done all the calculations and setup. Otherwise, they'll do trial and error. Right? So we want them to show us the calculations. Okay, so this is a class, with this class activity happening, and everyone is talking to each other and working. Is there one? So the students actually need the angle, the sine and cosine angle, but we didn't give them a protractor, right? So some of them will ask, no, you didn't give us a protractor, what should we do? Then we ask them, are you sure you need a protractor, right? You just need a ruler. Okay, you can get the trigonometric functions. So there are students who say, this is not going to come out in exam. No, I'm not going to do it. So I put it in the midterm test, okay? So that's my antidote for non-participation, okay? And I warn them, right? So not everything will be like physical and tactile. No, so this is another activity that I do with the students. Okay, I don't think I have time to do it with you here. But the idea is to actually to watch. This is again another projectile question. So someone's showing a short part. Okay, so we ask them, what is the angle that you should throw, right, to get the maximum range? Okay, so people say 45 degrees, whatever. Okay, but when you calculate, it's not. Okay, there are certain reasons for that, but I will not go into those details. So YouTube has this nice slow-mo feature. So I will get the whole class to time this when it leaves the hand. Big roll. And they're supposed to stop it when it ends. Okay, can you type your timing on the chat? Okay. So the students will actually submit all their times and then we will calculate as a whole class, because we know how far it flies, we know how high it's released from. Okay, so we can actually reverse engineer and calculate the angle that it was released. It's about 35 degrees. And we checked with ChatGPT, and ChatGPT actually gave the same answer, okay, about that range. Okay, but the confidence in ChatGPT changed. I checked it 6 months later. The answer shifted, actually. Yeah. Okay, so this, okay. So another example. So this is, okay, not calculations, but this is something happening in real life. I thought it's very important to teach teenagers this, because actually one of my friends died actually in such an accident, and a number of them actually nearly got injured because of this. So this is going down slope around a bank. Whoa! Oh. Okay, don't worry, he survived. Okay. That guy's hurt. Yeah. So we played a game. So this is actually an illustration of Newton's first law. The tendency of things to go in a straight line if there's no forces acting on it. So they're supposed to play this game. Okay, so this is an app. Okay, so we set it going, so it's going. So how do you make it, go around? What is the direction of the force? So the students will have to try different things to cause this to deviate. So they'll find this rather strange thing that it has to be 90 degrees to the velocity, right? So this was like a little game for them to save the cyclists. Okay, there's fun, but there's not too much. Okay, there's a bit of play. So this is another one. I think it's simple enough project. I probably can do it in a large lecture setting. It's just ask them to bring battery, but I need to find someone to call all the wires to do this. Okay, let me just. Yes, the homework. Okay, you can try this when you go home, but you need to buy a magnet, a strong magnet, and you have this homopolar, these very simple materials. Yeah. So I think if you bring it to any third world country, I think this will be very fascinating, and it's a very good topic. You can do this for Valentine's Day. Okay. So the students will have to explain why it works, why it turns, and actually building it is not easy. You need some hand skills to make it balance. Okay. So future plans. So related to Wen Li's talk, intelligence augmentation, and also coexisting with AI. So for the coming semester, okay, I didn't plan to give this talk, so I'll just tell you my future plan, not what I've done. Okay, some of this is what I'll do in the future. Okay, so we will probably have an AI-supported pre-lesson preparation. So I'm going to work with Han Xiong to see whether I can tweak Nala to behave in certain ways. Okay, in the lesson, we'll have more hands-on, more discussion among the students. And after the lesson, maybe we'll have also a consolidation of the learning, but with the support from AI. Okay, so a little advertisement. We are actually going to do a conference in November, also organized by us, but supported by NVIDIA. But unfortunately, this one you will have to pay because I didn't manage to get funding to support, like for good to great. Okay, so thank you very much for your kind attention.